Welcome to episode 16 of the Route 281 podcast. In today's episode, I sit down with Austin Ream, who was in the front row at the Trump Butler rally 1 year ago and shares his story. So we're grateful for his time and for his recalling of that moment that we all remember. So we hope you enjoy this episode.
Do you ever see RFD TV?
We're rolling too, by the way.
Oh, okay.
We'll just get us riffing on here. What was that?
RFD TV, they do farm stuff, and
Oh, I don't think so.
they interviewed her there last year.
Okay, pull that mic up to you then. There you go, wherever it's comfortable. So I'll just do a quick introduction here today. Austin Ream, he's a dairy farmer, and a father, and a husband, and a Christian.
Yep.
And you've got your third kid on the way.
Yeah.
2 boys, you got a girl on the way.
Yep. Finally some variety coming.
You're raising up some little dairy farmers over there.
We're trying.
Yeah,
We're trying.
nice.
They're definitely showing some interest, so we'll see where they go.
That's good. Well, I grew up in a dairy farm. So did you. So, it's just a fun way to grow up as a kid.
It's a different way of life. It's a fun way of life. There's a lot of opportunities it provides. There's some hardships that maybe some kids don't go through, but that's probably a good thing because sometimes I think it's too easy for these kids sometimes.
Did you enjoy it as a kid?
Oh, yeah. Yep. There was lots of times, though, where I didn't want to be there. And
the morning milkings whenever.
Morning milkings, especially in my teenage years, they got harder and harder.
Yeah. They got harder to wake up.
Yeah. Or you were still awake.
Right. It's fun because whenever I was 6, Dad wake me up. I want to go to the farm in the morning. And he's like, no, I'm not waking you up. Or
it's a chore.
I'll stay
then.
up. I'll stay up and I'll just make sure I'm there. But then whenever you're 13, guess what? Don't wake me up.
Yeah.
But
then
you
that's
go
when
anyway.
you can actually work, and then he wants
then
you.
you help. Yeah. But
yeah, it's tough. They want to tag along all the time, and you feel bad, but there's sometimes where you just, hey, I got to get this done, or hey, this tractor ain't quite safe, or whatever, and you got to go.
Well, it is. It's they can be dangerous, but these kids who grow up on a farm, they learn so many things, and from work ethic to equipment to you become mechanically inclined in a lot of ways, and you have a mechanical aptitude, and they can apply to so many different fields.
I'm no mechanic,
life.
But if you're broke, I can get the field done.
Well, I think that's what farmers have to wear a lot of hats, from a nutritionalist to understanding medicine.
Yeah.
To
you got to be a little bit dangerous in about everything, but most times you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah, but
you got to figure it out.
Enough to get by. But so today we are, at the time of filming this, a couple days away from the 1 year anniversary of the attempted assassination on President Trump and Butler, PA, at the rally there at the fairgrounds. To which you were present.
Yeah, just by happenstance. It wasn't something we planned to do.
You didn't plan to go?
Not really. So we had went to one, I think, during the 2016 campaign, and just because it was in Johnstown, and, at the time we were supporting them and everything, and we just thought it'd be cool to go to. And so we went. We were way back. It was kind of cool. Got to see some people that you didn't think were there, and everything went well. And so her dad had actually called and said, hey, Trump's coming to Butler. You guys ought to come up. We've seen this. We've been through this. We don't need to stand in line and, deal with all that. And because we stood there for a long time. And he says, no, you don't understand. They asked, because a lot of her family helps out with the fair board. And he said, you don't understand. Our equipment's going to be in the background. And her brother and father do a lot of farming up in Butler County, grain farmer. They used to milk cows as well. And so they asked him to put his combine and his track machine tractor with a big hair seeder behind. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of the backdrop. And he said, we won't have to wait in line. We're getting special tickets. The whole Lesney family, it's my wife's maiden name, the whole Lesney family are going to be front and center, front row. And he said, once in a lifetime. And so we're like, okay, twisted our arm and we decided we could go. And so we had mom and dad watch the kids. and we headed up to Butler. We left like 6 in the morning, got there at 8, and it was already about 85, 90 degrees.
Oh, it
and
was hot that day.
they're handing out waters. People were falling over from heat stress and stuff like that, but luckily we were able to just kind of soar right through the line, and we had special bands, and they eventually took us right up, and sure enough, we were front row right there.
So now when you say front row in the bleachers behind him or front row in the crowd?
Right in front of him. So he was, if the podium's there, he was standing right there. There was a fence, maybe 5 feet between him and the fence. Then there was a row in front of us with some special guests, whatever. And then we were right there behind it. We pretty much had the whole row with friends and family of my wife's.
Wow. And they had their equipment there and probably in somewhat strategically placed.
Probably. I haven't thought about that, but it was definitely kind of curved around them. You know?
I've learned a lot after that event about Secret Service and some of the, things that they're supposed to do in order to prevent line of sight, that type of thing.
Yep.
I don't know what your opinion is after this, but maybe we'll get into that. But
so they actually had them deliver the equipment like a week ahead because they had to search it all. So I don't know how in depth that was, but my father-in-law, he's kind of a joker. He was joking around saying, "Well, if I was somebody, I'd be in there." So I told them guys, the FBI guys, he said, I'd make sure you check in there, check here. And my father-in-law was kind of under the opinion that you could have easily got away with something if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, I mean, when you look at the photo, the overhead.
Oh, yeah.
Where everybody was situated that day, where he was, where those buildings were. I mean, it really looks obvious that should have been.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's at this point. But it's like he doesn't talk about it a lot. At the time, when Deputy Director of the FBI now is Dan Bongino. I don't know if you're familiar with him at all. But I used to listen to his podcast all the time. Well, he was former Secret Service agent, President's Detail for, I think, 3 presidents, if I'm not mistaken. And so he had a very good understanding of that. And then, but now that he's Deputy Director of the FBI, I think, that must have been somewhat strategic for Trump because FBI oversees the investigation of those types of things. So I'm wondering if he's working a little bit behind the scenes to try and investigate.
I hope so. There's some other things that they were supposed to do some figuring on that haven't kind of went the way we were hoping. But, I'm definitely hoping that they get to the bottom of that because the whole day, everything about it was just weird. I mean, we know people who were actually seeing the guy walking around with a ladder, hollering at the police, telling them, "Hey, there's a guy with a ladder and a gun. He's getting on the roof."
Which is unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable. I don't understand it. I love the law enforcement people that put their neck out there for everyday folks and are risking their life every time they leave the house to get in that patrol car to go and do their job. I bleed red, white, and blue.
It's like I tell people were saying stuff about the police officers and stuff that were there. If you were a police officer working your 9 to 5 and you got some guy who's wearing the shades, looks the part, FBI, and he comes in, you're going to do whatever he says to do, most likely.
Right.
He's ranked higher, whatever you want to say. And so I'm sure they were just following orders from, their higher-ups. And, it's at the end of the day, you don't really expect nothing to happen either.
Yeah. Well, I put on my it's the first time I ever wore this on a podcast, but this is my FBI lapel pin that came from the Pittsburgh field office.
Oh, no kidding.
One of my guests he's got a daughter that works in the Pittsburgh field office. So he was my Swiftwater rescue guy that came on a few months ago.
Yeah.
Scott Grant. Shout out to Scott. So we're representing the Pittsburgh FBI today. But serious. A lot of respect for the law enforcement up there in Butler and everybody else in Pennsylvania doing their job and tough job. But at some point, some communication line was busted at that day.
Something happened. I mean, we joked around kind of after. I mean, it's maybe shouldn't joke, but we joked around. I mean, a couple good hunting buddies with some Mach 6s could have did a better job than, if you were sitting where we were sitting, that building was like the place where
Right.
I'd set somebody up.
Yeah.
And then you have the lady from the FBI saying, "Oh, the roof's too sloped." You know, no,
It was
it's
pretty
a flat
flat, wasn't it?
roof.
Yeah.
It's just
It wasn't. I don't even know if it was 3%.
yeah. So how many instances like that? You know, a lot of people, conspiracy theory, this and that. How many things like that have to happen before you start to question, like, was there ulterior motive? You know, was this meant to happen? Maybe it wasn't planned, but maybe they let it happen. You know, like, oh well, we won't overlook that. Surely nothing will happen.
Yeah, right.
You know, makes you start to question it. But yeah,
It
again,
just seemed that it was too obvious.
Yeah.
To an everyday person.
yeah,
I mean, so
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and even the response was delayed and stuff. I mean, it's and then when you really think about it, how close, you know, I'm not part of nothing special or anything like that, but I mean, literally turning the head just a hair, and we could have had seen something that was totally different. And
What was funny is they never was it NBC? I don't know, whatever news coverage. I think it was NBC. They never covered any rally.
that was the only one they covered
That's
for
the only
the
one
whole
they
year.
covered.
For the whole year.
Like it, yeah. Huh. Isn't that fishy?
Yeah, it's a little fish.
Yeah. So if you would just kind of walk us through what you expected to see that day, and then what you actually saw happen.
So like I said, we got there pretty early. Didn't want to wait in line and stuff. Soared right through the line. Went up. You got the normal metal detectors. I mean, they're doing like you do to go to a concert at Heinz Field or something.
Yeah.
Nothing extraordinary. And we get there, and there's plenty of guys in all suited up, FBI stuff like that. But I don't know. The older I get, I start to look at people different. But those people used to be scary. Now I kind of look at them just like they're people just like us. And I don't know, the whole day just kind of seemed off. And so we get there, like I said, people passing out. It's hot, it's miserable. Everybody kind of just wants to get it done and over with. And we go up there, we get to the front row, and tons of guest speakers and this and that. And Trump was actually like an hour and a half late. I mean, it took him forever to get there for whatever reason, which is another kind of like, well, that kid showed up at just the right time. How's he know when to show? How does he know Trump showing up an hour and a half late? That kind of thing. So just another weird instance. So then we're in the front row, and lots of guest speakers are coming on. And if I'm being completely honest, there was like people within the crowd were kind of fighting with each other. It was just, everything was just kind of off that day. And then of course Trump finally comes on, and he starts talking, and everybody's riled up, having a good time, and he's speaking. And then when it actually happened, we didn't even realize, like, he turned his head there when they brought up that he started talking about the border, I think, and then we heard bang, 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 but it was more of like a pop. And at first I thought like fireworks or something, or like firecrackers, and then I realized it was a 20. Like, I thought somebody actually brought a 22 in or something, and I looked up, and that's when that the fellow that actually died, Corey, he fell down, and so I thought, oh, he tried to shoot at Trump, and they got him. That's what I thought, and which is not true, but that's what I thought, and so I'm like, how the heck did this guy bring, because it sounded just like a 22. I mean, it's light caliber, small rounds, and just had that crack to it. And so then after that, we look up, and the whole time there was the snipers that were on a roof that was much more sloped than the roof he was on, and they were kind of directly behind Trump. And we saw them. I just kind of saw him go up, and after the first shot, you kind of found him. He got everything in his sight and checked on everything, and then bang. And then we didn't know what was going on. And then finally we started getting some text messages from some of Larissa's friends and whatnot and family, and had a picture of the guy laying on the roof that was the actual shooter. And I mean, it's from 100 yards away, whatever it was, 140 yards away. And he was there for the longest time. But then there was like I said, that fella died, and then there was, I think, 2 or 3 more people injured right across from us. But I don't know, people, were you scared, stuff like that? It was such chaos, and you didn't really know what was going on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, they're like, did you get down? And we kind of did, but then you're kind of standing up trying to figure out what's going on. And, Secret Service guys, I mean, fully suited up, guns, everything, are like emerging out from underneath the stage. And I mean, everything's just like, whoa. And it was just a very weird, surreal moment. And you didn't really know how to feel. Even when we were walking out after they kind of cleared everything out, they basically just said, okay, everybody leave, everybody started clearing out, and you just didn't know how to feel, that kind of thing. And not till afterwards, because our phones were blowing up, but they kind of shut the airwaves down. I don't know if they shut them down or if there was just a million phone calls from 100,000 people, whatever was there, was just trying to get through. You couldn't text or call. So, like, Larissa sent a text message to my parents saying Trump was shot, something like that. And then they tried to get hold of us because they're sitting there wondering if they're going to be raising our children,
Yeah.
And so once we got back, about 2 hours later, everything went through, and then our phones were just blowing up trying to tell everybody that, everybody was okay and that kind of thing.
So you heard the shots, and did your head at that point want to turn to see? I mean, when you
I knew exactly where I thought the shots came from, and that's where the guy that got hit, that's exactly where I thought him came from. Now, looking back a little bit more to the left, 100 yards that way, and that's where the shots actually came from. So that fella, he was actually in direct line of sight with him a little bit to the left of where Trump was standing. He was kind of behind Trump. And the other one or two guys that got hit, they were over here on the right side of Trump. So if we were sitting here, they were here and here. Yeah. So, I mean,
Corey was to your left and the other two were your right, because it was kind of that angle. He got hit on that angle.
Yeah, and it's what I tell Larissa and family, like, I'm not saying like I was almost shot or anything like that, but at that distance, if the guy was an inch to the right, anybody in front of me behind me, anything, I mean, an inch back there is a foot or two out here, maybe 10 feet, and it could have been,
Well, it's anybody. A miracle that Trump turned his head.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tragedy that Corey was killed and the other two guys were injured and hospitalized. But yeah, I mean, when you watch, you can see the bullet go past his head. You've seen those pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you said you don't know how to feel. I remember watching the news coverage, and I was kind of sickened by it. I can't imagine being there having with your wife.
Oh yeah.
And hearing those gunshots. You witnessed somebody get murdered. Does that haunt you to today?
No, I'm sure it maybe does to some people that were closer. Now, if I'm being honest, you could see the aftermath of that guy. I mean, all over the bleachers, stuff like that. A lot of the guys helping out were just covered. I'm sure, like guys, EMTs, law enforcement, you eventually get immune to that stuff. I actually think growing up on the farm gets you a little bit. You see death, you see that kind of thing, and that helps. But that didn't have too much of an effect. It was just kind of the aftermath of thinking what could have been, and then just try to process the whole thing. Just a lot of different emotions.
Yeah, sometimes that can mess with you. Like when you go through a traumatic experience, what could have been? Playing that through your head can be as traumatic.
Why that guy? Why those two guys?
Yeah.
Why is me and Larissa's whole entire family, that close, and we're perfectly fine, Mm-hmm. So it was, and Larissa had nieces and nephews there that were super young, and it's just, it's a different experience, and for whatever type of history you think it is, it's definitely going to be a part of our history, and it was neat to be there and be, to see it, and if nothing else, it's a story to tell.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why we're here today, because I think it's incredible that he wasn't killed. I mean, it's a miracle he wasn't killed, and he gives credit to God. And I mean, you have to, because I mean, I listened to a news reporter that was there that day. And she covered, I think, 20-some of his rallies.
Wow.
She said he never turns. He always faces the crowd. He never turns. And he had that chart there that day and turned when he never does.
Yeah.
And he always faces. And
you can only get so lucky, and then something else has to. You can get 98% lucky, but there's 2% that is, somebody else is giving you the extra luck.
Right. And it's providence that that happened. Whether I don't know about you, but whether you support one side or the other, I don't want to see anybody killed.
No.
When you're there, especially, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't have mattered who it was. I mean,
It's always somebody's father, no matter what it's always
Yes.
somebody's father, mother, aunt, you know, whatever. It's always, they're important to somebody, whether they're not important to you, whether you disagree with them, anything like that. They're important to somebody. Somebody's going to care.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be sad. You know, you don't wish that
Yeah,
type of thing on anybody. You can agree or disagree with people all day long, but at the end of the day, you got to come together because no matter who, you're stuck with them, you know, for 4 years, 2 years, whatever, you know, race you're in. It's, you know, we just kind of got to come together and deal with it and make your opinion heard. And
we'd be a lot better if we did, you know.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, a perfect example, I don't know, you're pretty outdoorsy. I don't know if you were following the public land sale in the most recent bill. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing, and you know, I'm a supporter of the administration right now and stuff. But why that had to be in there? Why on earth would we want to sell our public lands? I didn't look like it was affecting anything in PA, but I think it was Idaho, Utah. I think Montana was exempt. There's a couple other ones, but why on earth do we need to sell our public lands? And listening to other podcasts, stuff like that, some pretty big supporters of the administration raised their voice and said, hey, this is not what we voted for.
Yeah.
And it worked. Yeah. They yanked it.
Yeah, I listened to Sean Ryan podcast where he talked to Braxton McCoy.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I listened to, which was probably the most informative if you want to know what's going on with that, where Braxton comes from. You know, he's a vet who was wounded by an IED or VBID. And, you know, he's almost gave his life to this country. And, you know, I don't understand. I'm not sure what they want to build on it. I've heard for, you know, housing. I
heard
data
affordable
centers.
housing, but then I heard attainable housing, and somebody said, well, who's it attainable for? Yeah. You know, it's the people who want that $1 million view looking over the BLM lands or something, you know, and, you know, they want to be able to buy that house or develop
that
it.
land needs to be there for our kids.
Yeah, it's our, you know, these elected officials, it's our government, it's the people's government, this is the people's land, you know.
Yeah, somebody said, I'll vote for the bill if we can sell off some land because I'm going to, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, But...
So perfect example of people making their voice heard.
Yeah.
And, you know, we still do have a voice. You know, that's kind of the reason we supported Trump was, you know, nobody wanted him in there. And when he won, it was kind of like a sigh of relief. Like, hey, nobody wanted him in there. The big establishment didn't want him in there. You know, all the people you thought ran everything didn't want him in there. And we spoke up and said, hey, you know, we do. Yeah. And, you know.
We're in the camp at 2/3 of Somerset County.
Yeah. And I get along with anybody who doesn't. You know, I actually have the best man from my wedding. He's pretty staunchly opposed, and we talk about it every day. And you just talk about
and
it.
You can still have a conversation with the guy. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I mean, what happened to the day where you sat on the front porch with a pipe and you talked your differences out and still walked away shaking hands and laughing? And,
because at the end of the day, and this kind of contradicts what I just said, but you know, just saying that we still do have power, but when it's just me and him, we're not going to do nothing. It's just us two BS, and so we can agree or disagree, and
it's just that one party's gotten so far one way and the other, and sometimes I listen to all these podcasts too, and I don't know who to believe, quite honestly.
Oh yeah,
you know, it's like about the time I think I know what's going on, then I'm like, is this all a show?
Yeah.
You know, like, what's going on with Epstein? What's going on with this? And
well, that's what I said. It's, you know, that's one of the big reasons, you know, draining the swamp, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You know, I thought for sure we were going to get that. And the latest things coming out, I think, is a pretty big fumble by this administration. I think a lot of people wanted the answers. And, I mean, everybody knows what was going on. You know, client for who? There's a lady sitting in jail.
Yeah.
You know.
So, yeah, it seems weird. It seems off. You know, I don't know. It seems like a cover. Yeah.
You can get real conspiratorial.
Yeah, you can. They didn't really shut the conspiracy down all that well.
No.
You know, if they were trying to, but.
No, but I guess we should be grateful for what we are getting.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of good things coming. That I bet he doesn't have all that much control over some of those. They're not petty because we have kids.
Yeah,
We want
that
our kids
was
safe.
another big one for us. Is leave the kids alone. If you want to do that kind of tranny stuff, 18, whatever the age is for any of the other stuff, you don't need to teach it. You don't need to teach any of that stuff to your kids in school. None of that.
Yeah.
Just leave the poor innocent kids alone.
Thank goodness. And we're in a school district where there's still common sense.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that. And thank you to all those that may be listening that keep the common sense in that school. And that's the majority. It's an 80-20 issue.
Yeah. But the 20% is so loud. And then what happens is their 20% is so loud, so the 80% have to speak up and get loud against it, and then it's just a fight over something that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the 20% is getting more attention than what they would have before.
Meanwhile,
so sometimes
we're
you just got to step back.
$37 trillion in debt, and we're talking about trannies.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know. Whatever. It's weird. But just kind of going back to that day, is there anything in particular that, really stands out to you from that experience that you're, left with? Some things when you go through a traumatic event kind of burn in your memory,
just two things. The main one is just not knowing how to feel. Everybody's like, were you scared? And then I almost want to say yes because you're worried people think you're trying to be tough or this or that. Not trying to be tough at all. You just, in that moment, you don't know what is going on for sure, and you don't really know how to feel. Your body's trying to figure out what's going on. Your mind is. And then the other thing is, the iconic photo, and my wife has a photo just the same that she took that's almost identical, and we have our own videos, but man, when he gets up and
fight, yeah.
I tell everybody, if he'd have said march to Washington, we'd have been there.
That's why I think he won the presidency.
For sure.
Because even as we're out here in Trump country, honestly, and this is a rural land. This is this is as much the heart of the country as anywhere.
Yeah,
that's why I like this podcast, because the people that I talk to are just from anywhere else. It's just the heart of America you can find out here in Somerset County, Pennsylvania. You can just, there's people on both sides of the fence, but at the end of the day, we're for America.
Yeah.
And when he did that, you want a strong leader. And
that's it. At the time, we had somebody who was, policies aside, just looking at the man. Regrettably, every man eventually gets old, weak, and feeble. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, Trump, the guy's, whatever you think of him, he's got energy.
Yeah.
And Biden just didn't have the energy, slurring his words. America was built on strong leadership, braveness, courage, and you just weren't getting that. Like I said, all policies aside. And then for him to fumble the way he does, and then for Trump to, the man got shot. Yeah. And then I saw in a later interview, he said that, I knew that I needed to stand up and tell everybody I was okay.
Yes.
He's like, everybody was wondering. Like he said, it's not about me. It was about the country. There's other countries watching this. They can't see a potential leader, past president, cowarding.
He did the absolute opposite.
Yeah, it was the absolute opposite.
Yeah.
And, I'll remember that for the rest of my life.
And so you saw it. Could you see the blood on his face?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And everything sprayed on his face. And, it was
Did you hear the Secret Service talking to him
the one funny part, and again, I don't know if it was I think I heard somewhere that he said he didn't want anybody seen without his shoes, but also I told my wife, I said, those are probably $50,000 shoes. He kept telling him, hold on, let me get my shoes. And you could hear all that going on, and that's all while he's kind of on the ground. There's a big huddle of people over him, which was something else that was really cool. You read it's Secret Service, it's their job to put their life in, to defend the president. He got shot. They're all on him, and they're shielding around him. They're literally there to take
the next bullet if it's coming.
Yep.
That's bravery. I don't care if it's a 5'6" woman or a 6'3" man that was around him.
Every single one of them was there.
They went up there and they were willing to take a bullet for somebody else.
Everybody was picking on the one lady that was a Secret Service, saying that she couldn't block him. She was tall enough, and I told everybody, I said, any bullet that was coming down low, she was ready to take just the same as the other guys. Right. But they were on him right away, and they just wanted to get him out of there, and he kind of had to tell them, like, no, I need to say something, I need to do this, and then just seeing him rush him off to the car and stuff, and it was definitely something to see.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine being there in person. I mean, it moved me a lot, just as well as anybody that saw the on TV, But to be there, I can't imagine the effect that would leave on you. But so I just printed up the timeline.
Yeah.
And you can tell me, So 5:51, just going ahead here. First shot fired at 6:11 and 33 seconds.
Okay.
6:11 p.m., 33 seconds. 5:51 p.m., almost, 20 minutes before. Secret Service is notified of a suspicious person.
Yeah.
20 minutes before. I don't know why he was still on stage. I don't know why he ever went on the stage. 5:52, Secret Service shared that information about suspicious person. I'm guessing within whoever needed to hear, we got a suspicious person. What time did he start speaking? 6:02, Trump takes the stage.
Yep.
So 10 minutes before Trump took the stage, they knew that there was a suspicious person. That being Crooks. 6:09, people alert officers to the gunman. Could you hear anybody yelling? When you watch those videos, he's got a gun, he's on the roof.
Not quite, but we received a lot of videos and stuff from people that were over there. So there was a greenhouse right on the other side of the AGR building, and we actually know some people that work in the AGR building, and they actually said that they were telling them, like, hey, you guys should have people all over this building, and they said they put one person in the building looking out the one window, and they said I'm pretty sure they said that those people weren't even in there during the time.
Well, if they were, they weren't looking on that roof.
They weren't looking there. And but then the people who owned that greenhouse, I don't know if you ever saw the interview. There's a guy wearing a sun visor with the Trump toupee. He was one of the main guys that got interviewed. So he is, I think his wife's family owned a greenhouse. Correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize. That guy or that family is friends with Larissa's family through a sister. And so we know the people, it's one of those things where, if you see it on TV, you're like, oh, this could all be staged. But when you know the people that were there and actually seen the guy, then you know it's real. And he was one of the people hollering, hey, there's a guy with a gun. He's getting on the building. And what time that was, it must have been right around there. But I know they have that guy on camera buying a ladder and stuff, which you can't arrest somebody for buying a ladder. But, correct. I mean, it was all, just driving around, all that stuff. And then I will say when we were leaving, I forgot they found his van, and they were suspecting that it was full of explosives. I don't know whatever became of that, but, they had roads shut down. It took us forever to get back home. Yeah. And, just so much weird.
And there's
weird
so
stuff.
much we don't know about that you think that they could find out. Like they said, the phone had pinged near the FBI building, allegedly going to his...
no social media?
Yeah, no social media. The house
was
22,
23, however old he is. Yeah, who doesn't have social media?
Good for him if you don't, but we'll never know because... One, he's dead, and two, they washed the roof off. No toxology tests that ever became public. Was he on something? Did somebody get?
Yep. Shoved him in the ground.
So many questions that just in things that I've listened to that would have been answers to find.
This is the 1963? Was that JFK? I mean, this is the new conspiracy for the next 60 years. Yeah. And you saw that one. We still don't really know everything.
I know,
about
and
that.
if anybody can find answers, it's the people that are in there now. It's Bongino at FBI. It's like, are they going to give us some report here a year later? Like,
right.
What happened?
Yep. And it's, if it doesn't say what you want it to say, if we're all being conspiratorial and we shouldn't be, then what? And then you just kind of, then they're all lying, know. So
well, the director of Secret Service goes through one round of questions in a congressional hearing and resigns.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the roof was too steep for somebody to get up there. Come on.
Yeah. Too many questions, not enough answers, and we'll probably never get them, which is a shame.
Yeah. Well, he's here, so, and I think that's all he's concerned about.
Yeah.
He
hasn't tried to dwell on it too much.
Doesn't seem like it. He's not crying about it. He doesn't dwell on it. But it wouldn't surprise me if Don Jr. is working, trying to find some answers. Because wouldn't you?
I would be.
Wouldn't you be if your family, somebody took a shot at one of your family
Who tried to shoot Dad?
Yeah, exactly. And then 6:11 p.m., 21 seconds, an officer walks around the building. People spot the shooter and start to flee. At that point, they realized that he had a gun.
Yeah.
And the people that were outside that perimeter were getting away.
Yeah.
I think, but everybody inside the perimeter had no idea yet.
No, we didn't know anything till we heard crack, crack, crack. Yeah. That was the first we knew anything.
So you say crack, crack, crack. Yeah, it's 6:11, 33 seconds p.m. First shot was fired, and then a second later, 2 more shots. So that was him.
Yep.
Hitting.
He shot 3 times, and then that's when we heard the big bangs. You could tell when they were firing back at him. I think there was 2 shots they fired.
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, it's at 3 seconds later. I think that's when they got him in his scope. That's pretty quick though for those snipers. I don't know what rules of engagement are. I listened to some interviews, and the one former Secret Service agent said, we just can't shoot a guy with a gun because we don't know what his intent is. You're allowed to conceal carry it's open carry actually in the state of PA.
Open carry on a rooftop, 140
exactly.
yards from the president.
That's what the guy interviewing her was like. Come on,
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, I don't know what she was trying to justify, and then 6:11, 3 seconds after he shot at Trump, more gunshots were heard from the snipers.
Yep.
Some people in the crowd turned their attention to 3 others who had been shot. One of the victims, obviously 50-year-old Corey Compertor, firefighter, father, and big fan of Donald Trump. He was shot in the head and killed. And along with the 2 injured were David Dutch, 57, and James Copenhaver, 74, who were critically wounded but survived. And then 6:14, Trump left the rally.
Yeah.
So how long were you guys there in that chaos until
it probably went a half hour, maybe 40 minutes, with everybody just kind of looking at each other saying, what the hell just happened? And then there was no announcement or nothing. People just started slowly leaving. And it was, I remember thinking, because we know a lot of people that are on the fair board, with all that chaos, nobody was like, single file, throw your water bottles out here. I mean, everything was just a mess. And like I said, we know the people on the fair board, and we just felt so bad because everything was a mess. And everybody just kind of slowly walked back. And then there's a bunch of news stations and stuff trying to get interviews with people on the way out. And I remember my wife on the way out, she was laughing because one of the newscasters caught a couple Amish boys that were actually at the rally, and she was questioning them, and just a whole bunch of people on the way out. And we were actually even talking to some of the FBI or CIA, whoever was helping with security and stuff, and like he was lower level. I mean, he was like checking bags and stuff like that, and we're like, what happened? He's like, we have no idea, like this is nuts,
Wow.
And so everybody just kind of left. Took about an hour to get through traffic, and we just went back to her aunt's house and sat and watched everything on the TV, and just kind of couldn't believe it was all real.
It's real, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows where they were whenever they heard. I'm sitting here in the kitchen, eating dinner with my family, and I just happened to see it.
Yeah.
And then, I think everybody got the country got a boost. After that, I think it, probably pushed him through whatever they were trying to do. I think it had the opposite effect.
Yeah.
God said, nope.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there was a helping hand there. And
people that were on the fence probably were in support of him after that.
Yeah, I think so.
Some obviously Elon Musk won, because he tweeted that night, this is my president.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now they're at odds, but I don't know. It may be 4D chess. I don't understand that, but
it's like I told somebody. I said, I wanted him in there, got him in there. I was real into following everything before that. I said I kind of just want to forget about it all and just hope that they do what I need to. And if I'm not happy in 4 years, then see who else they put forth. And
isn't that something? That was an incredible news cycle. Up to that election, and it's like I had to detox for a little bit after a while, because I could fill my head with that, podcast, this and that.
Yep. Everybody was talking about it, and
I needed a political detox after that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, let the chips fall where they may now. But I just encourage young people to be involved locally because it is so important. From your, get out to your place of voting and vote for what you believe in, one way or the other, because we still have a right to vote in this country, and
a lot of people don't. So
it's important that you have a voice and can make it heard. The local elections are important. Local school board elections are important. Don't take for granted that it's always going to be one way or the other. It is important. We saw Rockwood was the second school in the state to open after COVID, because we had people with some common sense and got those kids back in school as quick as possible.
Yeah. You had kids during that. What was that like? We had our kids during that, but they weren't going to school. The hospital was a different deal for that. That was an experience. I mean, they were at one point they told me if I had to leave the hospital, I wasn't allowed back in to see my kid born. And that got us pretty angry. And
I wouldn't have not wanted to have a baby at that time because of those rules. But it was weird. I mean, it was like you said, you don't really know how to feel at the time. You think, oh gee, what's going on here? I really have to. I applied. I appealed. I had a permit job going on, which I wasn't going to be able to get permitted because they weren't going to do my permits because of COVID. I technically wasn't allowed to work.
Yep.
I applied for an appeal, didn't get it. I'm like, I work outside by myself. You tell me I can't go to work? I had to. You were allowed to do emergency repairs. I actually replaced a barn roof that blew off in that storm. It was that spring we had a bad storm. Half the barn roof folded over on the other half. Yeah. So we were able to fix that and do some.
I was working part-time as a custom applicator out at the local co-op, fertilizer and stuff. And I remember, we had to put a silly bandana on, stuff like that. But I remember it was right kind of when they shut everything down, pulled out on the road. I drove all the way to Somerset. Nothing was on the road. It was kind of eerie. It was an eerie feeling. I was like, where is everybody? Like nobody was out. And it was nice because smooth sailing right through town, but it just felt so weird that the whole country, the state, country, everything was just shut down, and it was weird.
I was doing a porch close by. It was that time I wasn't. Technically you weren't supposed to be out. I'm outside by myself. I'm like,
what's going to hurt?
I'm going to work, I can make a living.
You're not one of the people who have a mask on by themselves in the car?
Yeah, I mean, this had there was a hole in the roof. I got to put, you can't let that go. But, so it was a helicopter coming over. I'm like, oh, they found me. They're going to tell me, you're there, quit working, I'm like, no. Well, hey, the dairy farmer, guess what? Cow's still milking.
That's one thing with that line of work. It's consistent, and when silly things like that are going on, you kind of just have to ignore it because, cows got to be milked. They don't care what's going on.
It's so different from where we live to being in the city. But no, it was weird. My kids were at home doing their thing, and I'll be honest, I don't really notice it in my kids now, but I mean, I'm sure. These schools are noticing it now, the setback that it had, the effect that it had on kids at the time. So,
and the social skills. I mean, you pull kids out like,
the kindergartners, the first graders that year that, had to go and couldn't really, you had to play with toys from a bag because they weren't touched by anybody else. And you couldn't really play with anybody. And how much facial expression do kids at that age need to see, And, talking to your wife, the facial expression's everything.
She says she ain't mad at me, but I know she is. I've seen that face. Yeah.
So these kids can't see a teacher smile or something. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
But working from home. But I mean, our school did a good job, the best that they could. Everybody that had no idea what was going on did the best that they could.
You said they opened pretty quick. I
Yeah,
didn't have
Rockwood
kids
was the
in.
second school in the state to open.
Oh, wow.
There was one in Lancaster that
Okay.
opened sooner.
Wow.
From what Irvin Kimore,
Oh,
commissioner, told me.
Yeah.
He was on the school board then. So, but yeah, I think it was a challenge for them. But,
Yeah.
I think everybody did the best they could. But now, looking back, I don't think we're going to fall for it again.
No, for better or for worse, they ain't getting us again.
Yeah.
And a lot of the info came out around, regarding the mRNA vaccine and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just, they ain't going to get us again.
Yeah.
They won't get us again.
No, that won't get us. Fool me once, shame.
Yeah.
Fool me twice, shame on me. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, a wild couple years we've had. So.
It was a wild couple of years. So it's a good time to do a podcast and look back on some of this stuff and talk about it. But so man, hey, I just appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and raising a couple kids on a farm, you and your wife, and being a good part of the community, teaching kids how to work. And that's important,
Yeah.
I try to instill that work ethic in my kids. My dad instilled a good work ethic in me, and being on a farm and growing up. And it's important because nobody's going to do it for you. And at some point, you have to learn to work. And
and you can teach a kid to work off a farm too. What the farm does is, I saw a comedian had a good joke about it. He was saying how. When he was a kid, they had chores, and if you didn't take the trash out on Tuesday, you just missed trash day. He said, if this kid doesn't go feed the heifers, the bank forecloses on the farm, And it's just like there's just an understanding that, like, this isn't really a choice. You have to do this. We rely on you, even if you're 5. You got to feed these calves, or else they may not get fed. And so it's just it's a great way to start a family and have kids and stuff like that. And hey, if we're successful at it, great. If not, the years that we were there, is going to be a good foundation for them kids to succeed in life.
Yeah,
so
well, good for you guys. Well, thanks for sharing your story, and thanks for being a good part of America.
Yeah,
and a good part of Somerset County. Austin Ream, thank you so much.
Yep, thanks, man.
All
See
right.
you.